Hey everybody, and welcome to today's video. Today's topic is going to be on archaeology. And I know what you may be thinking. We're going to learn about Indiana Jones going on epic adventures, getting famous, finding ancient artifacts, and then that one scene where he randomly shot a guy despite using a whip for the rest of the series. Whoa, all that sounds so cool. Well, that's too bad, because today we're doing real archaeology. We're talking shovels, we're talking trowels, we're talking spades, we're talking dorky hats, and we're talking excavation units that oddly look like holes, but you may never call them holes. They're excavation units. So I am being silly here, but it's to more prove a point that for those of you who aren't familiar with archaeology, when you first look into it, it might seem just like that, just as simple, just as boring as how I just described it. But I'm here to show you today that it's actually hugely important in our understanding of history. So today we're going to look at some of the finer nuances of archaeology, and we're going to do this through an example of a site from the Civil War, more specifically the Battle of Gettysburg, called the George Spangler Farm and Field Hospital. Through this example, we're going to look at some of the operational processes behind archaeology. We're going to look at the importance of material culture and how that can add to a historical narrative. Without further ado, let's get into learning about the George Spangler Farm and Field Hospital. Sometime on July 2nd, 1863, the second day of the Battle of Gettysburg, the 11th Corps medical staffers of the Army of the Potomac took control of the George Spangler Farm in order to convert it into a field hospital. The Spangler family was known to be one of the wealthier families in the area, but no amount of money would get the Union troops to go away. They had no choice but to give up their farm. Now, the Spangler Farm was right in the thick of it. As you can see on the map right beside me, Low Round Top is located right below the main Spangler Farm area. So it was in kind of south of the main Gettysburg area, and there were battles all up that line. When I went to visit the area, we could see so many memorials around the site, but as we got closer to the George Spangler site, there was less markings. There's only one sign for the entire George Spangler Farm, which is really interesting because it tells me that it's not that well documented. So the material culture of a site refers to the physical objects that have been left behind at a site by different cultures. Before starting this video, when I was deciding on a topic, I really wanted to learn more about medical artifacts from the Civil War. So right away, I knew I wanted to do this for the project. And I searched and I searched and I searched for information on the material culture at this site, but I couldn't find anything. But I had one main secondary source, a book called Too Much for Human Endurance by Ronald D. Kirkwood. So after reading Too Much for Human Endurance, I saw that this farm was fascinating. It played a huge role during the Battle of Low Round Top. It served 1,900 different soldiers, both Union and Confederate, at this farm over a 3-day period. And I figured, there's so much material culture here, there's so much to gain and learn from. So I reached out to Ronald Kirkwood to find out, why can't I find any information on an archaeological dig done on this site? So Mr. Kirkwood responded to me very quickly with a really detailed email on the history of the George Spangler Farm. But he said that there has been no archaeological digs done on the site. All that there's been done is some metal detecting work, which had uncovered just small artifacts such as buttons and pieces of uniform and things like that, but nothing significant. No material culture surrounding medical artifacts or anything of that nature. When I responded to Mr. Kirkwood, I asked him, Why is this? Why has there been no archaeological digs done on this site? And his response was pretty simple. Good question. That's all he said. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, there's probably thousands of medical artifacts that have been uncovered at field hospital sites from the Civil War. Why is it important that we uncover material culture at this specific site? At field hospital sites in particular, material culture uncovers the specific medical procedures being done on the site and the nature of the injuries being treated. Rare medical artifacts such as a turfine, which were tools used to drill into the heads of soldiers who had been grazed by bullets, are found. This shows that the types of injuries being treated on the site were significant. There has only been 200 cases of turfines being used during the Civil War on the Union side. So these are very rare discoveries, and they reveal a lot about the nature of what was going on these specific sites. Recently, an archaeological dig at a field hospital near Manassas battlefield uncovered a limb pit where surgeons bury amputated legs after surgery. There, they found the remains of two soldiers with evidence of surgery being done to them. And this was a huge discovery that had opened a whole new area of research on the battle, since much of the focus had been on the fighting itself, while the medical history on the site was almost disregarded. If there was an archaeological dig done on the George Spangler site, there is a ton of material culture that would be uncovered there that would uncover so much about the nature and procedures that were done on this site, and yet nothing has been done. This has to do with the nature of the archaeological process. So the archaeological process comes with three main outfits. The procedural outfit, which has to do with the fieldwork of archaeology, the operational outfit, which is the human endeavor of archaeology, so getting permits, dealing with people, dealing with politics, and the stuff you need to do before you do a dig, and then the intellectual outfit, which is just making sense of what is found out. So the reason there has never been a dig done at the George Spangler farm has to do with the operational outfit of an archaeologist. The current family who owns the farm has not allowed any kind of digging or metal detecting done around the main sites where surgical procedures were being done. And there's no specific reason for this. It's kind of weird, but these are the things archaeologists have to deal with. They have to get permits, they have to deal with people being unreasonable, they have to deal with landowners, they have to deal with the government. These are things that need to be done before an archaeological dig can happen. Thank you everyone for listening today. I hope my deep dive into the George Spangler site shows you how difficult the archaeological process is, how hard it is to simply get a permit to do work on a site, and how much material culture can add to the historical narrative. If a dig is done on the George Spangler site, so much can be revealed about the history of the site, and we can learn so much more about our past and the Civil War. Thank you guys, and have a great day.